Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! Resolve. In the last episode, we managed to drag Miss Green into the witness stand because we had a very surprising conclusion that we came to. We are suspecting her of poisoning Mr. Shamspeare. And now we are here at the cross-examination and we're trying to establish our suspicion. So, let's see how things go. The evening of the 17th February.
It was 6 days ago at about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the snow when I was suddenly stabbed in the back.
Hold it! I'm well acquainted with the case. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
It was awful. I still can't believe I was unconscious for so long. And I woke up to find that the case had been solved and the culprit arrested.
Yes, the incident has been resolved already. Perhaps it would help you to consider it a bad dream that ended with your awakening and should now be forgotten.
Yes, I suppose so. Thank you.
But before you put it completely behind you, Miss Green, I need you to remember the details one last time. You must tell the court exactly what happened that day for us to arrive at the truth about this new case.
The trouble is, there's nothing to tell really. I was just walking along the pavement. Coincidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the men in this case have their lodgings.
Hold it! What were you doing there that day, though?
What do you mean?
The art school you attend, that's it called?
Yes, it's the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. According to Mr. Sholmes, that's just in the vicinity of Brixton Road, which is some 10 stops away from the scene on the Underground.
I believe you mentioned before that you also live in Brixton Road, isn't that right? So why then would you have been walking along Briar Road in the middle of the East End?
Well, it's because, oh yes, of course, I thought it might make a nice picture.
The witness is a student of art. City-dwelling artists can all paint grand urban vistas.
That's right, I happen to like the crumbling look of that part of town. Perhaps quaint would have been a less grating term.
The point is, she's definitely hiding something.
Yes, it seems she's not going to be forthcoming with the truth.
If she's trying to hide why she was there that evening, it must mean there's a reason for her not wanting us to know. That's the key to this. And you, Mr. Shamspeare, on the evening of the incident 6 days ago, would you tell the court what exactly you were doing?
It would be my pleasure, sir. I was at the tavern on the eve of which thou speakst, for I had bespoke my supper.
Hold it! A tavern, you say? Which one?
'Twas the Slug and Salad, where I did tarry. 'Tis a jewel in the East End.
And a little unexpected, I feel.
What do you mean, Lord Von Zeeks?
The Slug and Salad offers unusually fine dining, for the locality at least. Not an establishment you'd expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his room.
It's true, the menu lists premium crusts of bread and glasses of water in different levels of cloudiness.
I would have expected grubbery in the local vicinity to be more appropriate for your means. Watery soup and mushy peas, or rather, soupy water and pea-like mush.
All equally appetizing.
I just wanted to try some water in a different pub for once. What's wrong with that?
How different can water really be?
Or perhaps there's a more plausible explanation. A specific reason why he had to go to that particular establishment.
Agreed. The fact that on that day of all days he dined at a place he wouldn't normally, it does stand out. So Mr. Shamspeare's own actions on the day of the incident 6 days ago were slightly suspicious. I wonder if we have some evidence that can explain those actions. Do we have evidence? Handprints on the wall? Do we have evidence? No, the second-hand book receipt. Let's have a look at the street map. No, there's just the books on the case in the first game. We already checked this. Let's just say no at the moment. Not at the moment. I wish we did, but sadly I can't think of anything at the moment. I really can't.
If you find a clue that could explain why Mr. Shamspeare went there, you must present it to the court.
Yes, absolutely. If that is all on this matter, Counsel, I would ask Miss Green to reiterate her next statement.
It was the first time I've been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to. That's all.
Well, what is that matter, Miss Green? What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate.
It was nothing really. It's not worth mentioning.
If you remember, you mentioned it to us yesterday at the hospital. Yes, she did. It was related to the card you were holding. Miss Green? What was that? She clearly just hit something behind her back. From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, "I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross."
Well, what does that matter? This has nothing to do with Duncan.
Aha! Interesting. Let's pursue. Mr. Shamspeare, do you have something to share with the court?
To be or not to be? That is the question. Ah, pray forgive me. The great bard's words springeth from within me with never a thought.
Don't tell me it's because you're possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right? Hearing Miss Green's words a moment ago seemed to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps.
Well, nay, sir. 'Twas nothing at all.
Presumably you know the name, though, Mr. Duncan Ross, I mean. After all, you were both lodgers in the same house.
I would it were so, but sadly nay. Lodging be a lonely occupation, sir. My lodging fellows be rarely known to me.
So you haven't heard of him, even though he passed away in the room just one floor above yours? Miss Green.
Me, my lord? Have I done something wrong?
The card that was mentioned before, containing the note, do you have it upon your person?
I do, yes, but I don't need it anymore. In fact, I should throw it away, really.
Before you dispose of it, the court will take it as evidence, please. Miss Green's card has been entered in the court record. Miss Green's card, a note in an envelope that seems to have been ripped open rather roughly. It contains instructions to meet with someone who claims to have information about Duncan Ross. Interesting. Of course, that's what links Mr. Shamspeare and Miss Green. It's Duncan Ross. Now, continue with the testimony, please, Miss Green.
Anyway, I was admitted straight to hospital, so I knew nothing about all of this business.
Are we going to... Yeah, let's just press first. Let's press her first. Yes, you didn't regain consciousness until the day after the trial, did you? In the early hours.
Exactly. So how could I have had anything to do with it? And yet, you still haul me in here to court like this? Honestly.
So at the time of the poisoning, the witness was unconscious in a hospital bed. Could there be a more airtight alibi, I ask you?
And yet, in spite of that, you claim that I was the culprit?
Well, I am.
But you certainly haven't produced any evidence to support your wild claim, have you? None at all.
There you have it. The good lady has yet to see evidence. My learned Nepalese friend.
I'm working on it. Counsel, I will point out here that the jury's next decision will be final. We're really up against the wall here.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you pursued Mr. Shapespeare wonderfully there.
It's worked out well, hasn't it? We have a new clue at last.
All right.
Now I need to pull off a really insightful objection somewhere.
Well, as you've managed to expose this promising new angle, I wonder if you should perhaps try to develop that.
Yes, of course. And yelling out objections isn't necessarily the best way to do that, I suppose. Well...
The life bar is full again, by the way. I just noticed.
Oh, that is so relieving, guys. We almost had a guilty verdict last time, so... Whew. Okay, but before we do that, we have new evidence to examine. So let's do that, I guess. Is there something on the backside that is of relevance? The envelope has been ripped open rather carelessly, hasn't it? Miss Green strikes me as the type to open correspondence more neatly than that.
What is it?
The way the envelope is torn, I'm almost sure I've seen that exact same shape somewhere else.
Oh, you don't mean we're thinking of this piece of evidence, Mr. Naruhodo?
Exactly, that's it. Try to match them up.
They go together perfectly. This torn-off end of the envelope clearly belongs with this card.
The details of Miss Green's card have been updated in the court record. A note in the envelope that seems to have been ripped open rather roughly. The envelope fits perfectly with a torn-off piece found at the scene of the crime, so she was there apparently. Have been updated in the court record piece, blah 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 blah. Sure. Okay, so that's good already, but can we also just read the card maybe? That torn-off end was found, fit together perfectly.
Yes, there's no question they're from the same letter.
But that means something doesn't quite add up here, does it? Well, can we read it? Apparently we can't. That is a little bit unfortunate because I'm curious, but we have an updated thing here. And as far as I remember, we can press here.
Hold it!
And I think that is... Yeah, sure, that's all fine. Yeah, sure, okay, alright. We have some that explain those actions and we can present evidence, and I think... Mr. Shapespeare.
Yes, sir.
On the day in question, is it not the case that you visited the Slug and Salad, a place you don't normally patronize? For a very particular reason?
I don't know what you're talking about. Pray, if thou hast some purpose, speakest.
Very well, I will present the court with evidence. Evidence that explains why you had to be at the Slug and Salad that day, namely. And it must be this. It must be this. I believe this card reveals the answer.
Good lord, Miss Green's card, you mean?
That's right, my lord. It reads... hello? I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Mr. Shapespeare, your actions on the afternoon of Miss Green's stabbing are exactly as described in this note. Personally, I found it hard to believe that's a coincidence. Don't you, Mr. Shamspeare?
Well... Excuse me, can I say something?
Yes, Miss Green.
That card was delivered to me. It doesn't have anything to do with this odd man, does it?
Well, you'd think so, yes, but it's hard to believe it's merely...
My lord, may I?
May you what, Miss Green?
I'd like to make something very clear about that card.
Very well then, you may amend your testimony to include details about the peculiar note.
This note was delivered to me at my address. It's nothing to do with the old man next to me here.
But we already established that we found the ripped part at his room. I think you said that you received it the day before the incident, didn't you?
Yes, that's right.
There appears to be no indication of the sender's name or address on the envelope.
It was in my letterbox and that's all I know. I'm afraid I have no idea who sent it.
I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Who is this Duncan Ross, please?
A friend of mine. He attended the same art school as I do. He passed away in a tragic accident a month ago now, though. I wasn't sure what to make of that note, to be honest, but in the end I decided to go.
So you found out what the information was?
Of course I didn't. You're not thinking straight.
Whilst on her way there, she was stabbed in the back, as my learned friend hopefully remembers.
Yes, of course. She never made it to the meeting. Yeah, we already had that, so we're gonna skip this dialogue. And we are going to present on this statement. So it was delivered to me at my address. It's nothing to do with the old man next. Oops! Oh no! I wanted to present. Okay, okay. Sorry, guys. We're just gonna skip across this. That was stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so used to pressing first that I actually missed presenting the thing that we were supposed to present. But that's okay, we just lost some time. And we're gonna present here, and we're not going to present Miss Green's card, but we are going to present this. So let's do that. The day before the incident, exactly 1 week ago now, this note was delivered to your address. And upon carrying out the constructions in the note, you found yourself in hospital.
Yes, I did. It's terrible, everything that's happened to me.
Yes, it is terrible. If it's all true, that is.
What do you mean?
Miss Green, have a look at this, please. It's the torn-off end of an envelope.
Oh, is it?
And it so happens that it fits together perfectly with the envelope of the note you received.
Well, where did you find that?
In Mr. Shamspeare's room.
Oh, in my room?
Mr. Shamspeare, do you perhaps remember this note from somewhere?
Well...
Your actions that afternoon followed the instructions in the note to the letter. Come to the Slug and Selden Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th, and so that's exactly where you went. Let me ask you again, Mr. Shamspeare. You already knew about this note, didn't you? And you, Miss Green.
What did I do?
As this torn-off end of the envelope proves, the note was originally in Mr. Shamspeare's room. So how is it that it came to be in your possession?
I don't have the first idea. I'm just a fledgling artist after all.
There is only one explanation. You broke into Mr. Shamspeare's room and stole it.
You did what? Sorry? Thou hast what? You broke
I mean, though we're in my room? What on earth do you want with me? It would seem that both witnesses need to testify again. Ah!
Miss Green,
Yes?
whilst you have the court's sympathy, I'm sure for the suffering you have endured in recent events, anyone found to be giving false testimony in a court of law will be duly punished. Please bear that in mind.
Yes, I know.
Very well then, witnesses. You will give formal testimony again now. On the subject of this curious anomaly regarding the note Miss Green claims to have received. Another testimony, so let's see what it is. The anomaly of the note.
I do remember now. 'Twas a week ago. Peradventure, that note was delivered unto me. On the day writ therein, I did tarry a long hour at the Slug and Salad, yet nobody came. Thereafter, on the evening, I shared the company of the Japanese fellow. I did see the note had vanished. I don't know what you mean. You think I snuck into this man's room, do you? Why would I? I can point out the villain here, and as for that torn off piece of the envelope, I don't know anything about it.
You now claim to have received this letter, do you, Mr. Shamsby?
Faith, 'tis so, my lord. And I would swear to have set it upon the table in my humble lodgings. Yet 'tis clear to me now that since I returned from the tavern that night, I have not laid eyes upon it.
Well, that being the case, young lady, it would appear that your testimony was...
A lie? Is that what you think? How unfair of you to think I'm the one lying.
I beg your pardon?
I'm just a fledgling artist, as I said, and fledgling artists don't lie. That note was delivered to me at my address. Besides, we all know who the liar around here is.
If that's true, Miss Green, how do you explain the facts? This part of the envelope was, without question, found in Mr. Shamsby's room.
I don't see why I should explain.
Sorry?
I'm a fledgling artist. My job here is just to say what happened, that's all. It's your job to give the explanations and the proofs. You're the fledgling lawyer.
The fledgling will do his best.
Evidently, my learned friend's cross-examination is our only hope of learning the truth.
Well, counsel. I'm ready, my lord. Very well, then. The defense will now proceed with the cross-examination of the witnesses.
Miss Green clearly did break into Mr. Shamsby's room. There can be no question of that. And that's how she acquired the note.
Yes, two facts that are starting to lead me to a possible explanation for all of this. And it's not a pretty one. Cross-examination. But guys, I'm very sorry. We are nearing the half-hour mark quite quickly. So that means if you want to know what the cross-examination is going to unfold for us, what it's going to bring to daylight, you'll have to tune in next time for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Resolve. See you then.